comes out of your pores and stuff while you're fighting. You can tell he was just off. Like he was drunk the night before at the press conference.
Was he?
Drinking whiskey.
The whiskey.
That was whenever he released his own covered 12.
Yeah. So he was promoting that, drinking.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, I didn't even know you were here. Where's Lorema?
You know what's funny? Right after the fight, he started drinking too.
Yeah, I mean, he was just
Right after, during the press conference, he had like
Are you okay today?
Hey, I don't care about that. That's enough. Where's Lorema? I can't start without you.
And could you do a shout out to Devontae Owens, please? Because he's one of the clients that actually jumps on and comments
DeMonte jumps on here?
and watches the show.
I've never seen DeMonte on here. I would love to give DeMonte, if you're on here, say something, because I don't see him. Does he like the page?
Yesterday.
Okay.
He was on there yesterday.
I don't know if he's on here. Did you get him on here? How do you find it?
request him, and so then when I share.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that, DeMonte. Hey, if you're on here, do me a favor. I'd like to have some comments, some questions. But another thing, if you would kindly do, please share the stream. Would you share it too, Mr. Moon Guy?
Yes.
I will be on my best behavior today.
Okay.
I promise you.
Okay. You better be.
There is one thing I guarantee, I will be on my best behavior.
You look good.
Thank you very much. Hey, today was the first time in a long time I'm under 210 pounds. Quite an accomplishment. Good morning, the rabbit, the legendary creature, rabbit, hopping around, making things happen. I'm reading this book. I would highly recommend everybody out there that feels like they're not as mentally tough as they feel like they want to be. There's some people in this room that I might be looking at that might need to read a book like this. It's David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Has anybody heard of David Goggins? David Goggins was a guy that had a very, very rough childhood. Very rough. A very abusive father. Usually when you hear about people that come up from a story like this, an abusive father, poor, but his dad actually made a lot of money, but he was extremely abusive. He never married his mom, but they were together. Finally, the woman or the wife or the whatever, his mom left, and things just continued to go bad for David Goggins. He had a really, really he was depressed. He had a lot of things that he would bury that he didn't confront. And so I'm reading this book as part of the 75 Hard Challenge that I'm doing, and there's some great pages. There's some great content on there that people that battle a weak mind. Are you a slave to your weak mind? And he talks about that, and he talks about how you overcome it. This guy, like last night, I read about he went through the Navy SEAL training. Fascinating story. He's 300 pounds. You can't be a SEAL at 300 pounds. To even try out, they told him you got to lose 100 pounds, and he had 3 months to do it. He made that happen. Lost 100 pounds in 3 months. That's incredible. His workouts were incredible. It was like all-day workouts. It's like if you watch The Biggest Loser, he was working out literally like that all day long. And one story he was talking about last night was he wanted to get into running. He was looking for something to do after the SEALs. The SEALs training gave him this need to push himself. Well, once he lost that, he was a little, lost. He didn't have what he was looking for, and he decided he wanted to run marathon, like ultra marathons. Ultra marathon is 100 miles. He wanted to do those. Well, he could not do the one that he really, really wanted to do because he had not qualified to do that one. But the guy said, look, if you want to do the one you want to do, we got one coming up this week. It's in 3 days. It's 100 miles. He hadn't trained a bit for it. He had to do 100 miles without training. But in the SEALs, he was still probably running 3 or 4 miles a day. But really, what he was doing during this time was powerlifting. He was getting a lot bigger and a lot stronger, but very in shape, dude. I mean, he was a very, very, a great athlete, and so he had to make the decision if he really wanted to do this marathon. The ultra marathon. It's a 24. You got to do 100 miles in 24 hours. He had to do something in 3 days. His body was not ready for it. but because of what he put his mind through, he thought he could do it. So, to make the long, wordy story short, he gets in and he's about to quit after 70 miles. He could barely walk. I mean, he was extremely depleted, like almost needed to go to the emergency room at 71 miles. He was laying on the ground. He still had several hours left that he could finish the race. But he started talking to himself. He went back to his past, and as he's getting up, he's using his past to fuel him in the moment. You understand what I'm saying? He's thinking back to an abusive father. He's thinking back to all that. He's a black guy. He was really picked on. You know, he came from an Indiana town that was extremely racist. And he was using all of these things as fuel to get him up. And as he was thinking about the past as part of his fuel, the pain kind of went away. So he just started walking. He just kept, just one step after another. Well, he finally got to like 80-something miles, and his wife came up to him and said, "You're not going to make it. You're going to run out of time at this pace," and he knew it. So again, he had to dig back into himself to get something to help him overcome the pain. He had gone to the bathroom. Hey, he went big potty on himself, Josh. Little potty. It was all over him. That's how sick he was. Yes. I mean, it was just like he couldn't even control it. Couldn't do anything about it. So he had another moment where he's talking to himself. And this is, Moon Guy, you talk about this. Joy Calvin, what's up, my man? You talk about how powerful our mind is. It's crazy how powerful your mind is. He starts talking to himself, and he works up another anger moment. And he's on like mile 91. Then he's so delirious, he finishes 100 miles, but he wasn't sure if he did 100 miles. So he ran another mile. He ran 101 miles. So the guy had not prepared to run an ultramarathon. Within 3 days, he made the decision. It'd be like me going out right now. I ran 2 miles Tuesday. It'd be like me going out Saturday and running a full marathon.
You got this.
How ridiculous is that? But he was talking about to get to these levels, you just need a spark. And it took me back to, I was talking to Noah, and every time the new people come around, I kind of relived my little story with the people. And I was telling Noah how bad of a spot I was in at 35 years old, how I was extremely broke financially. All the confidence that I had was completely gone. Every part of me was a busted up person. Nothing. I had nothing. I had friends, I had family, I had support, but I got around people that gave me a spark. How many of you have ever started a fire? Have you ever started a fire, Moon Guy?
Yes.
How do we start a fire?
With a lighter.
With a lighter. You turn on the switch and it just comes right on at my house. Yeah. Well, I've got an outdoor fireplace. And I'm from the city. I grew up on concrete, okay? So my fire skills weren't great. I would put the logs in there, these big logs in there, and try to get them going. It didn't produce enough heat. So if I look at a fire the same way I do people's potential. You know, you start off with small things. Like if you're going to start a fire, maybe you just grab maybe just some like little hay or a little piece of paper. Then you add little things to it. Then you can put the big things on there. So whenever you're wanting to accomplish big things in your life, a lot of people are trying to do something that they can't do yet. And they give up. Looking at my journey, I had this goal, I had this target. One day, I'm going to get to 100 deals. And I thought that would be the biggest thing. I remember when I finally got to 100 deals, I came home and I was crying about it. I was so emotional about it. And then the next day I'm like, well, that really wasn't big enough. But if the goal is to go to 500 deals, I had to get to 100 first. Then I'm looking back. I had to start somewhere to even get to 100 deals. I had to become interested in me. You did a show yesterday, Josh. Improve you. That should be your goal. Improving yourself every single day is the little piece of paper that you're lighting right now. Coming in here, role playing. Coming in here, calling right now what you're doing. There's a reason why you're doing it, and there's a reason why you're still here. There's a reason because you're becoming interested in what you can become. There's a part of you, or you wouldn't be here. This morning I'm driving to the gym, and I'm thinking about if you're in an environment that you don't want to quit, you're eventually going to want to outgrow that. You need to be in an environment where you're constantly pushing yourself to where you're doubting, is it worth it? Are you doing that? If you don't continue to do that, you're going to give up on your dreams, or you're going to think, this place ain't where I need to be. I need something bigger. So what I look for is I need to push people to where they're like, hey, I don't like this. Hey, I want to quit. I need to go somewhere else. That's my intention, to push you guys to get you another level. Some people will not agree with that, but it's the only way I know how to do it. Mr. Moon Guy, never despise. Say that word.
Despise.
What does that mean?
Is that the spelling of what, despise? You know when you despise somebody?
Yeah, like I despise you. I don't like
Is
you.
that how you spell it? Maybe
Yeah,
I spelled
I
it
think
wrong. That's it.
Okay, well,
Never despise small beginnings because it's the foundation of great happenings in your life.
but see, if you're starting a fire, what happens if you just put a little bit on there, a piece of paper with some grass or some hay? What happens?
Catches quick.
Then what?
It dies
Grows.
down.
I mean, if you don't put anything else
What
on it,
happens if you don't put nothing on it? That's where the growth is. You got to grow a fire just like you've got to grow your potential. So coming in here and saying, I've already done this or I've done that. I hate when people say that. I've already done that. Well, okay. So what are you? So you got to keep doing that if you want to grow. My wife is on here. And a matter of fact, Hayden, today she is going to do something online. So if you're looking to buy anything, the new girl, if you want to buy something, tell my wife I sent you. You can go to her store today and buy something online. But everything does start small. Everything big started small. Pay attention to that. Every single day, I want our morning mapped out. What do we do at 9 o'clock, Josh?
We role play.
What do we do at 9:30?
Go over the leads that we got the day before.
That's right. That's so what you've got to do is you've got to start stacking things on there. If you're watching this, how many of you do the same things every single day? Did you do the same things every single day before you got here? Yeah, you did.
Well,
You laid in bed and played PlayStation every day. Did the same thing. And more than likely, you got really good at PlayStation. What was your game?
Damn good.
What was your game?
2K.
NBA?
Yeah,
How good were you at NBA 2K?
pretty damn good.
You're committed. Did you ever get beat?
Not rarely.
When you got beat,
It hurt.
were you mad?
I'm mad.
Because he was committed. He was committed to video games. See, you've demonstrated the ability to commit to something. The problem is it ain't really going to help you unless you go out there and become a gamer. Joy Calvin, I got to cook barbecue today. Now I'm going to be thinking about the significance of building a fire. Joy, the next thing you need to be thinking about is how do you get help? I was talking to the guys the other day. Whenever you're trying to accomplish a big fire, you need to think in terms of how can I get more people to help me do this? You need more people. I know you're trying to do that, but you need more people helping you with that barbecue. Everybody's goal should be this. Instead of making money, quit thinking about making money. Think about how can I bring in people to help me? How can I get somebody working with me to help me expand? That's something I did wrong for 10 years, maybe 11, probably 10 years. I wanted to make more money, but I wanted to do it all alone. I wasn't thinking right. What I should have been doing is, how can I get somebody in here to help me get bigger faster? Why did I not do that?
Scared.
Of?
Money. Losing money.
Well, I was scared that I couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
I had this fear, but really, you should eliminate that. You shouldn't be thinking about that. You should think about hiring somebody. Bring in somebody that's going to help you expand and get to an even bigger target. Whenever I was doing this all by myself, my target was too small. It was way too small. You need to get a bigger target because it will force you to get creative and bring more people. I can't do that. Of course you can't do that. You can hit that target alone. But that should be your goal. You're going to need somebody. That's the way you should be thinking. Joey Calvin says, you're right. I have one helper and need to hire another so I can step away from it and focus on houses. Well, here's what I would tell you, Joey Calvin. Let's talk about your barbecue business. If you were to look into the future, what does the future of Southland barbecue look like? I guarantee you it ain't you. It ain't just you meeting people, greeting people, cooking, serving, giving them sweet tea or whatever y'all do down there. Joey, do you do the white barbecue sauce down there in Alabama, or do you do the North Carolina barbecue sauce? But here's what I do. I look into the future. What do I want my future to look like? Then what I'm going to do now is make it happen as quickly as possible. Whenever I started buying Zillow leads, I was scared to death the first time the guy called me. And I remember I was like, all right, we're going to go for it. I went from like $600 a month to $2,300 a month, and I was scared to death. Scared to death. And this was 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. Now it's $15,000 a month. And the way I made sense of doing that is I look at the big guys out there like Gary Ashton and some of those people. They're over $100,000 a month probably. So what I'm looking at now is, what do I need to do now to get to where they are? You got to do all these things. Give me as much as I can possibly, as many as you'll sell me. That's how I've made sense of doing that. So if you're somebody and you're watching it like our guy, DeMonte,
Yes.
I haven't seen him on here.
Well, he's at work at Nissan. He started first shift, but he was on it yesterday.
Was he on during live time or later time?
No, he was watching it live.
Dang, I want to meet
And he
DeMonte.
even
Did you meet DeMonte yesterday? I didn't get to meet him.
I want to meet him.
Well, look, hey, you're first.
He's a real cool guy.
Well, good. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're somebody out there and you're a little lost, I want you to just look at starting a fire. Easy analogy to understand. Right now, all you got to do, first thing you need to don't focus on how big the fire is right now. Just focus on it getting lit. Just focus on that. Future is 2 restaurants and 5 food trucks, all dressed with real estate marketing for Southland Realty Group, and I'll be in 30A making calls in the morning and hanging out with the fam in the afternoon. You'll probably bump into me down there too, Joey Calvin. Well, here's what you've got to go. You see what you want. Now what you've got to do is you've got to take time out of the equation and make it happen right now. Why don't you already have a restaurant? The first thing people want to do is they want to start adding time to this equation. They feel better. Well, we're not ready. Well, time never solves your problem. Commitment, action does. Everybody have a great day.